Yeah, I mean, obviously the big news coming out of the NBA trade deadline, I mean, right around this time last week, it was all but official that Giannis requested a trade according to Shams and a bunch of other reporters. It was going to be a done deal at some point before the deadline. The Bucks were going to move on from him. The era of Giannis and the Bucks officially coming to an end would end with one championship run, and Giannis would be playing for a different team, and the Bucks would be completely tearing down everything and rebuilding. At least that's what we were told last week around this time. And the NBA trade deadline has officially passed, and Giannis is still in Milwaukee. And if anything, it sounds like he has no intentions yet again on ever leaving Milwaukee and forever being a Buck, assuming that things turn around here in the next month or even couple seasons for sure in Milwaukee. We'll start with Hunter because I feel like this is a hot button topic for him for sure. How are you feeling? Obviously, your guy is staying in Milwaukee, but how have you been feeling over the past week? Because I couldn't imagine being a Bucks fan and hearing that, oh, this guy's gone. This guy's gone. This team's thinking about getting him. This team's thinking about getting him. This team won't include these three players, but still wants to trade for him. Just all these rumors presented to NBA fans as pretty much fact, according to some of these reporters and analysts on whatever station or channel that you consume NBA media in, just to find out that he wasn't going anywhere. It doesn't sound like he was really going anywhere in the first place.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because like this isn't so this year is definitely like the peak of it, right? With one, like Giannis towards the end of his contract, the Bucks underperforming, a lot of weird roster moves and stuff. But this has actually been going on for like 7 years now. So this last happened all the way back in 2019, before Giannis would have signed his extension in 2020, right before they would have won the title. The title is the only break the Bucks have had from supposed Giannis rumors, and even then, I'm sure somebody wrote an article somewhere. One of the other funny things that I think about this whole thing, and I was trying to think of a better and nicer word of saying this, but I really couldn't think of any. So sorry if for somehow, some way, somebody this affects is watching this. The whole thing is so scummy by these media guys. Because if you go back to Shams' tweet even about the Giannis trade, he never even explicitly said he's asking for a trade. A week prior, Jonathan Kuminga demanded a trade. This is all semantics, but I'll get to my point in a second. He demanded a trade, which means he went into the front office and he said, I want a trade. The words used to describe the Giannis situation were Giannis is open to having a new home. Not even open to having a new team. Open to having a new home. And that was that. And then it was just nothing but speculation and empty words and empty threats. And if there's one thing I hope we all learn from the situation is that I'm gonna parade around and say, yep, we've been saying it. He's not leaving. He may have not explicitly said, I am for sure 100% staying. But the words that did come out of his mouth were, I love Milwaukee. I was married in Milwaukee. I buried part of my family in Milwaukee. All these things. He's lived most of his life at this point in Milwaukee. Well, almost most of his life. All of his professional life and adult life in Milwaukee. He said it over and over and over and over and over again. I want to retire a Milwaukee Buck. Yet here I have to listen to these frauds on a 4-letter channel out there go, man, I'm really sick and tired of talking about the Bucks. Brother, nobody's asking you. Nobody's asking you for it. Nobody wants to hear you talk about the Bucks because you don't know what you're talking about. That's the clearest thing about this whole thing is you don't know what you're talking about. And they admitted it. They admit it. And so even if this offseason Giannis decides to leave, which I really, like Brock said, I honestly don't even think that happens. But even if it happens, if Jimmy Haslam decides to walk in to Milwaukee and just ruin everyone's life like some other GM, well, a GM did He's not the GM, he's the owner, but some other GM did in Dallas. Give zero credit to Shams. All right. We don't listen to the tale of a boy who cried wolf and go, wow, what a brave young man. No, we don't do that. We say, wow, look at this absolute idiot doing the wrong thing over and over again, finally being right. And he doesn't get his flowers because everybody died in the story. But, here it doesn't end that way, obviously. But he should not get his flowers. If Giannis ever leaves Milwaukee, should not get his flowers. You don't have a weatherman go, yeah, it could rain today or tomorrow. It could actually rain next year. It could rain 2 years from now at some point. It might just rain, but it could be sunny if the weather decides to do so. That weatherman would be fired. He wouldn't even get through the rest of the segment before being like, you're out of here. Meanwhile, this guy's going to get paid millions of dollars to continue to do that for this upcoming offseason. So I hope all of us out there understand that this needs to change. For the love of God, please. That was my rant condensed down as much as possible.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bravo.
I've been waiting 4 days. I've been looking forward to this recording. I'm like, oh, trade deadline is always going to be super fun. And then when nothing went down with Milwaukee, I'm like, oh my God, the first 10 minutes of this episode is going to be so funny. And Hunter, you nailed it. That was a perfect way to put it.
Yeah. I completely agree on everything, Hunter, you said. Maybe I'm misremembering. I don't remember Woj in the past being this
Not really.
freely with his posts. I feel like the only time he really posted anything is when something is already done and that's what it's a done deal, or it is all but signed, as in they are going to sign this or they're going to agree to this. It's just not official yet. The ink is still wet kind of thing. It's not dried.
Yeah, it was either breaking news, this is happening, or breaking news, this conversation is happening. It was never breaking news. Here's this rumor that might be true.
Or it might not be.
That's not breaking
next year it could be an issue.
Newsflash out there to anybody. Breaking news does not mean this could happen. Breaking news is this is happening at this moment. Breaking news, there is a tornado.
There could be a tornado.
Breaking news, there is an accident on I-80. There might be. Be careful out there. They don't do that. All right, they don't do that.
Oh Lord. well said, Hunter. Dawson, what are your thoughts on this? Because it seemed like if Giannis was going to get traded, and this is getting a perspective for someone that has to cheer for a team in the Eastern Conference as well, but it seemed like if he was going to get traded, it was going to move him out of the Eastern Conference, at least from the teams that I heard of over the rumors that were getting spread this past week. Now that it's official that Giannis isn't leaving as of right now, what are your thoughts as a Cavs fan and just overall with everything that you saw from a fan of a different team, kind of a conference rival as well with the Bucks?
Yeah, it just like Hunter said, it never really made sense from the jump. Yeah, Milwaukee's struggling right now as a team, but Giannis has never given a clear indication. It's hey, trade me or else I'm sitting out or I'm going to do something drastic. He never gave that indication to Milwaukee. It is kind of wild that that's all that the NBA beat writers have been pulling for the last year. Maybe it's because they're just trying to drag Giannis towards a bigger market or not. So it's easier to talk about. But it never really made sense to me. When hearing those rumors. With that being said, when everything was going down about 2 nights ago after the Cavs made a certain move, there was a thought in my mind. I'm you know what, blow up the whole team. Let's trade a certain power forward and all the draft picks we have left for Giannis. But thank God we don't act in rash decisions, because it sounded like Milwaukee was never going to make that move to start with. So, but I'm happy that Giannis is still in Milwaukee. Who knows? The record right now isn't fantastic, but I will say they could get a decently high draft pick. And with how good this draft is, with Darren Peterson, with Cam Boozer, with AJ DeMonsa, this is an unreal draft class.
Josh Jefferson.
All right. I'll throw Bennett Sturts in there too. if we're
Mom
gonna play that
Chilovich.
game.
Heck, you get Taman in the second round
No,
easily.
all right. Nah, that's where I run out of players. But the top four of this draft, I think it's Caleb Wilson's the other guy from North Carolina. Those top four players, if you get any one of those guys, can be difference makers next year. And maybe Milwaukee goes in the offseason and starts to be aggressive and maybe uses that pick to acquire another star. But I never really fully understood these trade requests that were made by Giannis and the Bucks. And the post he made on social media immediately after the deadline, I think gives you all the proof you need.
Yeah.
If you really think Giannis was requesting a trade. So,
And the crazy thing is I do think some of these teams did make certain trades with the idea that it would clear up space so then they could go and get Giannis. Example.
I mean, he did do it. But.
Yeah. Example, though, for me was Minnesota trading Mike Conley or that 3-team trade with Mike Conley, who then ended up getting traded to Charlotte. But was that the one with Jaden Ivey as well? That ended up getting Jaden moved to Chicago. But
Yep.
Minnesota literally didn't receive anything in that trade. They just gave up Mike Conley. They're like, here, take him. And I was like,
the game.
I was like, good Lord. That was the move, which is funny talking about Mike Conley. I don't know what his contract situation was or anything with that. And the fact that Chicago moved on from him pretty quickly as well makes me think that, again, nobody wants his contract. Maybe he's going to get bought out. Who knows? But I was like, that's a weird situation that makes me wonder if someone is actually making a move to potentially try to go and grab Giannis. But obviously nothing ever happened. And you're talking about the draft. I know I'm kidding. I was kidding about Momcilovic, but I really think about it. Momcilovic is the bona fide better version of what Chris Middleton was supposed to be in the long run for the Bucks in terms of just catch and shoot in the three and being able to stretch the floor a little bit as a perimeter three, potentially Dirk-esque player. If I'm Milwaukee and he goes pro for whatever reason, and he's from Wisconsin as well, I'm going all in on trying to find a way to get him on Giannis's team, because then you would have AJ Green and Momcilovic, arguably two of and not just the NBA, just in basketball right now, two of the better 3-point shooters in the sport. Like that's really good for a team that has a player that, yes, Giannis has expanded his game and can shoot from the 15 feet, and you have to at least keep him honest from 3-point range now. It's perfect for them. But I'm part of me kind of hopes that the Bucks are able to do something this offseason that completely shuts up everybody, because I feel like the media is wanting Milwaukee to move on from Giannis because it gives them that spicy thing that they can talk about on all their shows and everything. And I love that Giannis is like, nah. Every time this comes up, it ends up with him saying, nah, I want to be here in Milwaukee. It would be great if they ever win a championship again, because it would silence all the haters and all the media people in the long run. But yeah, Hunter or Dawson, any final comments on this situation? I guess it's not even, we're almost 20 minutes into this episode and we haven't even talked about an actual trade that has went down. We've talked about the trade that was supposed to happen.
No, it is funny looking back at all the teams that, like you said, made moves to potentially free up space and potentially go after Giannis, for it to all mean absolutely nothing. Like, you talk about the Timberwolves just giving up Mike Conley, just for and gave up a first round pick. I don't know if it's an actual unprotected pick or if it's a swap, but just because hey, we'll try to get Giannis. We'll see if this works out. Just for them to end up getting nothing in return, and in fact losing their starting point guard.
Yeah. Makes you think whether or not someone was putting out feelers to get Shams to report that Giannis wants out. So then teams would freak out and start trading all their assets, when Giannis knew the whole time that he just wanted teams to mess up their core. Which, if that's what the Bucks and Giannis did, that's some devious stuff. And you know what? Respect.